Hello! It's time to learn how to create prototypes of our responsive website designs in Adobe XD. In particular, I'll focus on how to go from mockups to high-fidelity prototypes for the desktop version of the library website. In an earlier course, you learned that you could create a high-fidelity prototype following 5 steps. Lay out the mockups, connect the screens, add interaction details, adjust the animation, then complete for all the screens. When you went through this process in the last course, you were working in Figma, but now we're creating our designs in Adobe XD. So let's explore how to complete these steps and create a hi-fi prototype in this new tool. I'll start by clicking on Adobe XD and opening my mockup designs. Remember, to create a prototype, switch into prototype mode by clicking prototype in the menu in the upper left corner. First, I'll lay out my mockups in the order of the main user flow. In other words, I want my mockups to be in the order that users would move through the library website. This will make it easier to build the connections. Here we go. This should be right. Now that the artboards are in order, I can move on to step 2, connect the screens. At this point, I'll be thinking through the order of interaction for the user visiting the library website. The user journey I'm focused on is finding and reserving a book. Starting on the home page, the first action I want a user to take is to click the search link in the top navigation bar. So I'll click on the first element I want to connect, which is a text that says search. A blue arrow will appear. I'll click and drag this arrow to the second artboard that I laid out earlier, which has a big search bar across the top of the page. You'll notice that the artboard I dragged the arrow to will be highlighted in blue until I release the arrow. This helps me double check that I'm connecting the things that I want to connect. The next action I want a user to take on my website is to search for a book in the search bar. I'll need to connect the search button here to the search results artboard. You've already made connections between artboards when you made your low-fidelity prototype earlier in the course, and I've shown you how to do a couple of them again here. So I'm going to quickly speed through connections to the rest of my user flow for the library website. One sec, I'll be right back. There we go. All of my connections are in place. It's time to move to step 3, which is add interaction details. In Adobe XD, you can decide the type of interaction you want for the transition between 2 elements, and we call these triggers. Triggers define what type of interaction will cause a prototype to advance forward. The first option is tap, which is the most common choice. This means a transition will happen when the user taps or clicks on the first element. Then there's drag. This means a transition will happen when the user drags or swipes across the screen in a set direction. Drag is often used for image carousels. The last 2 options, gamepad and voice, allow you to prototype more complex products. For this library website, I'll stick with the tap trigger because it's the closest to a simple click, and I'm designing for a desktop computer where clicking is common. And with that, I'm ready to move on to step 4, which is adjust the animation. For desktop websites, I don't need to add too many animations. Think of websites you visited recently from your desktop or laptop computer. Most of these pages have a simple transition to the next page on your click, so I can skip this for my desktop website designs. This means my high-fidelity prototype for the desktop version of my designs is complete. That was quick, but it's a bit more complicated to add interaction details and adjust these animations for the mobile version of your website designs. Let me show you how this would work for the mobile site. Here it is. First, I'm going to add a connection between the hamburger menu item on the home page and the flyout menu artboard. And just so you don't get confused, Adobe XD uses dotted lines for connecting overlays. The solid lines are for the main connections. Now, let me add the interaction. I'm going to keep the trigger as tap because that's the most common interaction for mobile websites. For the actions, I want the type to be overlay, and I've set the animation to slide to the right. This tool sizes the image for me so it's easy to position it over the page. I've set this up in the Overlay submenu. Now let's test out the interaction. I'll click the Preview button and click on the hamburger menu on the top of the page. So this overlay only covers part of the page. I can click the large X to exit. Keep in mind, this overlay example is just one of many ways that you can change the interaction to achieve a responsive design. Now that one of my animations is looking good, I'm ready to repeat this process and complete it for all of the screens in the mobile version of the library website. I'll make connections, add interaction details, and adjust the animations for the rest of the artboards. And there we go. The prototype for the mobile version of the library website should be fully functioning. Let me show you how it works using the preview button. So here I have the preview of my Narrow website. I can click on the search field, I can enter a book name, I can click search, and I get the search results page. From here, I can see the detail of a book, such as this Island of Dr. Moreau book, by clicking here. If I click the reserve button, it will tell me that the book is in my basket by changing the reserve button to yellow. At this point, I can see the items that I have in my basket by clicking this basket icon. If I scroll down in my basket, I can see all the books I've added to my basket and then confirm the reservations at the bottom. Clicking here will take me to the reservations confirmed page, where I can see when to pick up my books and a quick summary of what I've ordered from the library. At this point, it's very easy for me to get back home by clicking the WCL logo at the top. That's a wrap. You now know how to create a high-fidelity prototype in Adobe XD. Now it's your turn to bring your own website designs to life. Get creative and don't be afraid to explore.